Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and this is my last review for the films that I got to see this weekend. Squeezed in 3 this weekend, and today I got to go see an interesting sequel that I don't know how many people actually thought this was going to come out at some point, but we got T2, not Terminator, but Trainspotting. And I remember when the trailers dropped for this, I'm like, this looks really cool. And I had never seen Trainspotting, so I watched Trainspotting, and I thought that was really cool. It was definitely very different and a hard film to sit through with a lot of the stuff it was dealing with, the heroin addiction and all that kind of stuff. And I was interested to see where this film was going since it takes place like 20 years after the original and picking up with these characters and how things are going to play out. Just a quick summation of my feelings for this. I don't know how needed this was, but you know what? I had a great time at the movies, so I am perfectly happy with that. Now, this is directed by Danny Boyle, who did the original as well, and up to this point, my favorite film that I got to see Danny Boyle do was Steve Jobs with Michael Fassbender, and I was a huge fan of that film, and I was looking forward to seeing this new return to Trainspotting with Danny Boyle, and he brought such a frenetic energy and pace to this film, just like the original. And this one was a bit longer than the original. This was pushing the 2 hour mark, and I never felt bored once. And I'm not the hugest fan of quick editing and that kind of stuff, but boy does Danny Boyle know how to make it work and really bring a unique frenetic energy to his films. And the style that he brings with the freeze frames, with the slow-mo, with the Dutch angles, with all these different things that brings this to being such a unique experience. He really brought that back for this, that he had brought in the original Trainspotting, and it still feels really fresh, especially with how films are today. And I don't know if he's a big influence, but Danny Boyle kind of reminds me a lot of Edgar Wright with the way they use quick editing and that as a tool of humor and really bringing a cool style to the film. And honestly, the way this film was told was very engaging and very interesting, and Danny Boyle did a fantastic job of bringing this script to life in a very interesting way and a very different way than a lot of films, which it is very much like the original Trainspotting. As it is a sequel, it's going to continue that tone most likely. Now, the cinematography was Anthony Dodd Mantle. You could tell this was very grainy kind of film, but I like that. And they did that on purpose, and it felt very lived in, especially this world that Mark is coming back to, Ewan McGregor's character, and things really haven't changed. It feels very lived in, it feels run down, and the graininess to the film, I think, really worked to push that through. And the fact that they use different kinds of styles to do different time periods for when they're kids and now they're adults and going back to the original Trainspotting and stuff like that. And the shots in this film and the work that they did, I'm not the hugest fan of handheld cam, but when it's done right, it can be fantastic and I really enjoy it. They do that in this film, and the handheld cam really brings an intimateness to everything and how it works around going around the different characters over their shoulders, around their heads. Everything that was done that way, and it really brought a very unique and very engaging experience, and I felt like I was right there with them, which got a little frightening at certain points because they really hit home that there's parts of horror, there's parts of excitement, there's just these highs going on, pun intended, about the subject matter of this film that brings this film to life. And the editing by John Harris, I had to give a little shout out to John Harris because how this film was put together was genius, and they showed this same kind of style with the original Trainspotting, and this film does the same exact thing. Now, to come where some of the weaknesses might be, John Hodge, who did the screenplay for this film, did really bring some interesting and depthful characters and And very interesting story and how things played out. And I was sitting there, how are all these moving pieces going to be brought together? Because off the bat, two of the four main characters seem like, is this really about them? It felt very much like Simon and Mark's story. And then just be patient, things will come together. Unfortunately, it does feel like a lot of it leads off of coincidence, which isn't the strongest tool to bring a story together, is basing things off of coincidence. But they really like the themes of them dealing with their aging and not changing. The whole world around them is changing, and you get some little shots of some of the other characters, like Kelly MacDonald popping up in this film, and how her life has moved on, and how a lot of the guys from Trainspotting are just running in place, basically, and dealing with how do you live in a world where you feel like you don't really fit anymore. And there's a few of the characters that have that crisis of moments. The unfortunate thing with this film is I kind of found it hard to find the true point of this. Everything feels like coincidence and how this all brought together. Luckily, it doesn't take away from the interesting story that winds up coming about from this, but it does feel really like, why'd this come together? And there's a lot of cheap, unfleshed out callbacks to the original film. I mentioned Kelly MacDonald earlier. There's no reason that she needed to be in this film. And there's some other things that just felt really tacked on. It's like, why? Why couldn't we just moved on? And honestly, I know the theme of this is being stuck in neutral and not getting past things, but like those really wink wink heavy handed being like, "Hi, you remember the first film, right?" Right? That kind of stuff took me out of the movie a little bit. And you never want to have something take you out of a film experience. The acting. So Ewan McGregor, Robert Carlyle, Ewan Brenner, and Johnny Lee Miller. Four boys. Beggy, Mark, Simon, and Spud all really come together, and the four actors really pulled this film off. They were having a great time, you can tell, and they really brought these characters back to life. And I was very interested in seeing the different paths that all of them take, especially Spud. Spud was honestly the all-star of this film, and he felt like the real hero of this film, which was interesting because you expect Ewan McGregor, he's the big star, he's going to be the one, Mark's going to be the center of the story, but when it really came down to it, Spud felt like the true protagonist to me and somebody I could actually connect to and really get behind. And the music choices for this film were absolutely impeccable. Perfect, spot on, everything fit so well and brought this film to life, really fit the tone, fit the style. Everything was really well crafted. I really enjoyed this film, and I wish that it felt a little more organic, because then it probably would have hit even harder home to me. But honestly, this is one of my favorite films of 2016 so far, and I'm going to give T2 Trainspotting, not Terminator, an A-.